Welcome to your Daily 5 for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. You have likely seen, at least in passing, some news items from probably last week, but I would imagine there were some. I didn't see anything from today or yesterday, but I think this is going to probably pop up here and there. But you probably saw something about the fact that there was a new, with quotes around it, George Carlin special released without the permission of his daughter because it's not actually George Carlin. It is an artificial machine-generated impersonation of Carlin from something called Dudesy. Now, the fact that this algorithm is called Dudesy right there should give you some read on what the quality is, but I don't like to be a Luddite about things. I don't want to be hysterical about it. I've talked about the fact that I think that AI is both overhyped and over-doomified, and so I wanted to give this thing a fair shot. I thought, okay, it's about an hour-long special because it's imitating one of his HBO specials, more or less. Now, it does open up with a flood of legally protective language about the fact that it's not actually George Carlin. I'm just an impersonation. This is not supposed to be him, which really isn't necessary if you actually start listening to it, because I think the goal of this was, outside of probably provoking interest, which I think that in that respect, it definitely achieved its goal. But outside of that, something like this, you would think that the aim would be to accurately reproduce, because this is only audio. There is no actual, it's not trying to imitate live video. So you would want to try to fool the average person into thinking that this might actually be a George Carlin, say, lost recording or something from years back or whatever. And then the other part is, of course, to be funny, because I don't know why you would listen to a comedy special if you weren't intending to laugh. So those were the two kind of metrics I went into it with. As far as the impersonation, at least in the format that most people are going to hear this, I don't think anybody would be fooled. I don't even think people who don't know George Carlin would be fooled. For example, if I played this for my mother, I don't think she would actually be fooled to thinking this was a Carlin recording of any kind, either past or present. I think she would detect pretty quickly that there's something off about it. Now, she may not jump straight to the conclusion that it was an AI-generated version of him that some guys put together, but I think she would know that there was something wrong with it. The interesting part is, I think some of that could be bypassed, just to be completely fair, if it was played in a crappier format. For example, if you were to go up to somebody with a tape recorder, or if you played a degraded version of this and said, oh, George Carlin had done a special and he'd only recorded it on a boom box because he never got to perform it, and somebody found the tape and they digitized it so the quality's not all that good, that might fool somebody. The weird part is, the algorithm appears to be trying to make a blend of his voice from all throughout his life, which makes zero sense to me. Except, of course, this is a machine who doesn't understand how humans actually age and what the differences are. At least, it doesn't understand it well enough. So you get these moments where his voice sounds very young from his earlier stuff, his cleaner material, and then it suddenly transwarps over into him as an older person, where he has this very distinctive kind of edge to his voice, and he was cursing a lot more. So it kind of whipsaws back and forth. And again, it comes off as this weird Doctor Who-ified version of Carlin, kind of getting young, getting old, almost somebody who was getting some kind of tachyon beam fired through his essence, and it was making him age and go young again in some kind of weird variation. And so that immediately, I think, would stick out to people. But more importantly, it's just not funny. It's not funny in any way. It's not even funny in, oh, okay, you could kind of see how a machine would misconstrue this. It's simply not funny. And that's, I think, also a byproduct of the fact that it's a machine that is trying to figure out how human-based humor works by one person, without any of the context, without any of the actual feeling, or personal emotion, or inflection, or interest, or pain, and trauma, and joy, and sadness. All the things that make humor work, well, this machine doesn't have it. And you can't analyze somebody's voice and their video of them, which honestly, in his entire life, it probably comprises less than 1%, and then think that you're going to be able to extract what made his humor what it was. And sure enough, it completely falls on its face. So, again, I don't want to be one of these people who's like, AI is garbage. It's not garbage, but the way it's being presented to people, with examples like this, I don't think it does the technology, which does have some amazing potential depending on how it's utilized. I don't think it's doing it a lot of favors. And I don't know what this is meant to do outside of provoke interest, which, if that's the only goal, I'll admit they got it. But in terms of making people think this is a George Carlin special, no, you're not close. You're not anywhere close, and I doubt you're ever going to be. Later.